Me reading a random person's chart. I see so many people reading charts online of random people. I can't even call these people astrologers because I end up disappointed with what they say during the reading. Maybe I'm the same, so I'ma give this a try only this one time because I don't want people to think I do this for free. This is the chart of someone born in South Korea. I don't know if she still lives there. Hopefully the birthday is correct because it was commented with just numbers and not November. It's easier to accidentally press the wrong number and that can waste everyone's time. Later on she confirmed it's correct. I told her to give me any house of her choice for me to read. She chose the 7th, so let's go. She wanted to know about marriage initially and her chart definitely shows marriage. For multiple reasons, the Saturn in her 7th house sidereal chart is an easy giveaway. It's even conjunct Jupiter, both are dead giveaways. Her tropical chart shows Sun-Mercury conjunction in the 1st house aspecting the 7th house. Saturn-Moon conjunction in the 7th house, so again tons of planets are giving energy to the 7th house of marriage, spouse, and fiancé. The Moon chart has a Sun-Mercury conjunction in the 7th house. I read a female's chart one time and she had a similar conjunction, different signs, but she never got married, only engaged. She was in her 50s when I read that chart. This female's from South Korea chart for sure shows her at least having a fiancé in her lifetime. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction will obviously make a marriage situation occur though. With so many planets influencing her marriage life, most likely she will be married more than once, especially because of Saturn. I'll explain why more so at the end. Now that her chart easily shows she will get married in this lifetime, I'll focus on her sidereal, then moon, then tropical chart individually. Oh, by the way, if her chart easily shows marriage in this lifetime, then it's a good indication she won't die before she gets married or engaged. Very important because I see people on social media make suicidal posts. This South Korean woman will survive lots of issues with depression, etc. She could use that as a way to feel optimistic in her bad moments in life. Be like, hey, at least I'll live long enough to see marriage. Sidereal. The 7th house represents interactions with other people, particularly with strangers in public. It shows who we interact with the most: spouse, fiancé, legal contracts, business partnerships, etc. First, I have to break down the planets in her 7th house. I see a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. Saturn conjunct Jupiter in Taurus 7th house. Jupiter represents optimism, shows what gives us new opportunities in life. That's why it expands the significance of the house it is in. Hence why it represents optimism. Imagine being stuck at a job you hate. You will out of nowhere get excited if you get a new job opportunity. Whereas Saturn is delays, limitations, restrictions, step relationships. It shows what makes us uncomfortable and bored. The discomfort Saturn brings is for various reasons, like someone being way older than you, so you both cannot relate. I don't know why, but wherever Saturn goes, it just brings like a bad vibe or negative energy with things or people the house Saturn is in. Saturn also shows what we administer. It shows people who will be strict with us. Saturn shows what we have to become responsible for. This conjunction basically delays the success, optimism, new opportunities that Jupiter in the 7th house brings. This conjunction in her 7th house will make her not have optimism from marriage. What I mean by that is the thought of marriage or being engaged won't excite her. This is the reason why Saturn will delay or create a fear of her getting married. When she does get married, though, issues with marriage will occur during her Saturn in Tartishes. She would end up being bored or not wanting to be around her spouse. In fact, I remember Jada Smith having a similar Saturn placement in her sidereal chart. The Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in the 7th house would make her limit interacting with strangers, especially in public. This obviously makes someone become very introverted. Because why else wouldn't she want to interact with others? She will feel, and it does happen too, interactions with strangers become a letdown. She won't even feel or get excited to interact with strangers. If she was to start a business, she wouldn't have that many business partners because Saturn will limit that. This conjunction is in the Taurus sign of speech, so that means she isn't even interested in speaking with strangers or business partners. Another reason why she has a hard time getting along with them, the conversations become an issue. In her Saturn and Taurus, conversations with the spouse become limited. I'm assuming Will and Jada Smith have this same problem. Of course, you may be wondering, yes, this conjunction will delay her from getting married. The time frame can vary though, like if she gets married or engaged in her 40s, 30s, etc. Really, the delay frame ends age 27 onwards from my research. But when exactly, that's when an astrologer has to look and see. For example, like even without me trying hard, I wouldn't be surprised if in 2024 she meets her future spouse July or August 2024. Most likely it's in South Korea through the introduction of her mother, or the spouse surprisingly is in her home environment. The home environment, as in the spouse, may actually end up inside of her house for various reasons, like to fix something. She might live in an apartment and the spouse suddenly moves in as a neighbor. How I'm seeing this is because Saturn rules her third house of neighbors, cousins, younger siblings. Which means those people might also introduce her to the spouse. It might just mean her spouse is an actual neighbor only her would know, and this actually a pretty good day to find out. Third house represents social media too and short distance traveling, so what if she just meets the spouse online or while she is catching the train? It's gonna be in South Korea as well. Saturn also rules her fourth house of homes and mother, so homes and vehicles are connected to the spouse. This means when she meets her spouse next year, most likely she lives in the same household or shares vehicles with that person. It's gonna be her spouse owning those things. For her to know who is her spouse from a career perspective, around the time she meets this person, this future spouse will be going, or at least just went through a career change a month before they meet each other. Maybe that spouse loses or gets a new job. The spouse's work environment is going to be about first house things like self-employment, freelance work, or work being about the physical body. The work is about Saturn in Taurus, so it can be work where a person has to use machines on the body, particular the head. A barber or a cosmetologist comes to mind. A fashion stylist is a slight possibility, but I don't think so. Her Saturn is in Kritika Nakshatra, so her spouse can be doing work required to managing or protecting a person's body, like a security or a bodyguard. Her spouse is gonna be through a maturation phase on the head and body, so her future spouse might be growing gray hair around that time. Now, when Jupiter will start bringing optimism and stop the limitations of the seventh house things is when she reaches age 27 onwards or goes into her Jupiter and Taurus. This is when tons of people will want to start interacting with her. Jupiter and Taurus might be the time period she starts getting engaged or married. For sure, she would be enjoying marriage and find it as a great time to be around the spouse. These two planets rule certain houses, so now I have to read the planets individually. And just remember that Saturn delays the results Jupiter would bring.